And now we begin Why the Supreme Court Sucks Part 2. If you like Part 1 about boring-ass Alito, I mean, look, Alito was in your basic right-wing organizations, the concerned alumni of Princeton. They didn't want women coming in. They didn't want minorities coming in, your usual right-wing bigotry. But he didn't have the colorful and interesting history of one Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas, you may know, if you're old enough or read our history books, that he was nominated by George H.W. Bush in a move that I think the late president would probably regret in 1991. He'd worked in the Reagan administration. He immediately was accused by one of his coworkers, who was a conservative, Anita Hill, of sexually harassing her and others. He would frequent a porn store in Dupont Circle and like to call himself Long Dong Silver, one of the characters, not that I would know from having watched that material. He made jokes about a pubic hair on a Coke. I still don't get that one and kind of freaked out by it. Later, others would come forward and also make the same accusation of sexual harassment, but of course they weren't heard at the time in the Senate. And he was barely, I think 52 to 48 voted onto the Supreme Court, maybe the closest vote we'd had until recently. So Thomas makes it on the court. In the years since, there was a 6-year period of time where he literally did not open his mouth. He didn't ask questions. We weren't even sure he was a sentient being. He may have just been a big mannequin sitting there. Never asked questions, didn't do follow-ups, much like Chuck Todd, and added nothing to the court. Certainly no intellectual heft. Wasn't qualified to be there, quite obviously. As time went on, he got in trouble for all sorts of ethical lapses. He went to meetings out west held by the Koch brothers, more recently caught having phone calls with Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, all sorts of weird and really inappropriate connections with Republican office holders, just not scared at all to show his true colors. And the big kahuna, his wife, Ginny Thomas. Ginny was in a cult back in the 80s, literally, has been a right-wing activist since then, worked with numerous Tea Party organizations while he was making decisions, Justice Thomas, on those cases. And in the time since that, we now know that she needs to go before the January 6th committee because she helped plan the January 6th insurrection where they attacked our Capitol for the first time in 200 years, stabbed and speared and stomped police officers, a few of whom died later on, either from wounds or suicide, and broke windows, smeared feces on the wall and the like. She has been, she showed up in text with Mark Meadows about the plans for January 6th. So we have an insurrectionist, seditionist in the wife of Clarence Thomas, and we have a judge on the court who would be the one who would judge whether she was or she were. In fact, of all the justices, even all the other right-wing ones, when it came down to Mark Meadows, whether there was privilege for his texts between him and Jim Jordan and Bush, and Trump and everybody else, only one justice didn't want those texts shared. I wonder why. That would be Clarence Thomas. So what we have is a completely ethically inept, amoral, sexual harassing, sedition and insurrection supporter sitting on our Supreme Court who feels like he has the ability, he has the actual right to judge whether women should be able to control their bodies. And that, folks, is part 2 of why our Supreme Court sucks.